Vibe coding has taken over. The ability to use artificial intelligence to build software, even if you have no coding experience whatsoever, is nothing short of extraordinary. However, now that you're building out pieces of software, be them for a client or even internally, how do you go about managing that project? Usual project management tools still don't integrate AI, or at least the one I'm going to talk about to the extent that it does. We're going to get into a project management tool that you can connect through MCP, through Model Context Protocol, to your favorite no-code builder, like something like Cursor, and build out software, but at the same time, track progress, create tasks, update tasks, and then once you're done from a project management standpoint, create interactive dashboards, reports, and there's so much more we're going to get into. Stick around because this is going to completely revolutionize how you manage your SaaS projects going forward. So what is MCP, Model Context Protocol? It's an open protocol developed by Anthropic, the guys who gave us Claude, and it is a standard of how applications provide context to LLMs. So the diagram on screen was actually stolen from Russ Mike. Great YouTuber, go check him out. There will be a link in the description below. He breaks complex terms down into simple ways to understand them. Okay, so just the LLM by itself, that's our first iteration of how we've always understood LLMs. So think of ChatGPT, right? Think of ChatGPT when it started. No plugins, no additional tools. So for example, if you wanted to send an email, all ChatGPT could do as an LLM could write that email for you. It couldn't actually send it. It could only give you the text. So it had a limitation. It can talk about things, but it can't take action. We then moved into, I would call this messy setup, LLMs and tools. So imagine giving ChatGPT access to Gmail, Google Calendar, maybe Notion, and you're giving them access to all of these different tools individually, or these services individually. So you must teach ChatGPT or teach the LLM how to talk to each tool, right? For Gmail, how to send an email. For Notion, how to update a page. For your calendar, how to create an event. But every tool has its own way of working. So different formats, settings, rules, and it's basically like making ChatGPT that speaks English have to speak Spanish and Japanese and a whole bunch of different languages with each of these tools all at once. Basically what it creates is it makes you have to create custom instructions for the LLM for every single different tool it interacts with. And then when that tool, or if that tool changes, you have to build those instructions back up in order for the LLM to be able to connect and execute using the tool. Creates a very messy setup. MCP comes in as, in my opinion, the smarter way of doing things, right? And this is why. MCP is like a universal adapter, right? I'm from South Africa. I moved to Australia. And when I arrived, all the plugs were different. So I was like, damn, I should have brought an adapter. And I didn't. So MCP is that adapter. It's a way of connecting each service, so Gmail, Notion, Google Calendar, to LLMs, so that all the LLM does is talk to the MCP, the Model Context Protocol, and the MCP handles all those different services on behalf of the LLM. It's a middleman. So for example, say you schedule a call with Sam, right, your friend, and you send him a follow-up email. The LLM will send a request to the MCP. The MCP then knows how to create a calendar event, how to send an email or that follow-up email using Gmail. And behind the scenes, the LLM doesn't have to worry about how each service works. The MCP takes care of all of that complexity. So the LLM by itself, smart but helpless. LLM plus tools is powerful but messy. But now with LLM plus the MCP, it's powerful and organized. What's really cool is that Dart have an MCP server of their own, right? And what this allows you to do essentially is, because Dart is a project management tool, we can use AI to create tasks for a project we want to build, right? A no-code project. So say we want to build a game in 3.js, or we want to build an app. We can ask Dart to use its brainstorm functionality to break down those tasks one by one. And then we can use MCP to plug Dart into Cursor, for example, and feed all those tasks into Cursor so that the AI in Cursor can start building out our application. So we're going to get into that. I want to show you that right now. All right, so we're in Dart and in our main board. What you want to do is come down to spaces, and we're going to create a new space. What we're going to do is we're going to build out the tasks for a next.js application. So in this case, we're going to build out a meme generator. So let's call it meme generator. It then gives us an abbreviation, which is cool. Close that. And now we've got meme generator and tasks. If we come to the task board here, we've got the ability to create a new task manually, which we can do. Or we can go to Project AI, little purple button, and then hit brainstorm tasks and give it some context. So I've pre-written that out, and I'll actually copy that across. I want to build a meme generator using Next.js, break it down into small subtasks. It should allow users to upload an image, add text overlays, top and bottom, and adjust font size and color. We then set it to AI rather than our teammates, and we give it a time limit. So this time limit will say within 5 minutes, it will generate as many tasks as it can think of in a structured way. Once we're happy with that, we can say start brainstorming. And then you can see the timer starts in the top corner, and you can start to see our tasks get built out one by one, step by step in a sequential manner. And we're not doing anything. We just wait for the 5 minutes and we go through the motion of watching the tasks get built out. That's our first step. So let's do that. Alrighty, so the time is just finished. We get a nice little confetti burst and it says the brainstorm is finished. Your team, including Dart AI, came up with 14 tasks. So within 5 minutes of us just clicking a button and giving it some context, we've gotten 14 tasks that we can execute or have executed in order to build out our meme generator. In this case, what we're going to do, and it's an important piece, is we're going to come to the board view. And what you'll have to do is go into the tasks and change the assignee to yourself, because the MCP server needs to pick up that it's assigned to you, specifically when it references it from a no-code application like Cursor. So make sure you do that and change all of the tasks to be assigned to you, and then we can move on. All right, so we've got our tasks. What we want to now do is actually build this meme generator out. We're going to use Cursor for that. I've already got the project set up. I'm going to show you how you can do it. In the Dart MCP little blog post here, there's a link to their GitHub page. I'll pop a link in the description below to this, so it's easy to find. You want to go to GitHub, and then what you want to do is you want to come down to setup. Over here, there is setup settings for Claude itself, for client, and any other client. We're going to go with any other client because we're using Cursor. There's 2 steps. It's really simple. You want to find the MCP settings file within Cursor itself, which I'll show you how to do that. And then you want to set up the MCP server using these steps below. So you want to install npx, which is just an installation onto your desktop. That's fine. You then want to copy your authentication code from your Dart profile, pop it into this piece of code, and copy that code across into Cursor. So how do we do this? In Cursor, what you want to do is you want to come to settings, right? You want to go to Cursor settings. You want to come down to MCP, and you're going to add a MCP server. When you do that, it will open up the mcp.json file, which is over here. This token, right, that is your Dart token. You'll be able to gain by going to Dart, going to settings, coming to account, and then scrolling down, and you got your authentication token over there. But you'll copy your authentication token from there. You go to GitHub, you'll copy and paste it into the Dart token slot or little placeholder there, and then copy this entire piece of code and literally just replace the code that you got here with the new Dart token. Once that's done, you can then literally in Cursor close that and close your settings, and then you are good to go. So what you'll have to do then is create a new Cursor file. So create a new folder, I've called it meme generator, and then come to your right panel, and you are going to, in my opinion, the best thing to do here, what you want to do here is just say connect to Dart MCP. You'll see it will ask you to approve that. It will connect to the MCP server, and then you can ask everything about your meme generator. And you can ask a bunch of different functionalities. I want to show you in in Cursor, that if you come to the settings and you go to your MCP settings and you hover over the tools here, this MCP server has all these different tools. We can get config, list task, create task, get task, update task, delete task, so forth, so forth. So we can do a bunch of functionality with our application. So in this case, what I've done so far is list out our tasks. And what it's done is it picked up all 14 of the tasks that we've created on Dart. I'm then going to go and say, awesome, can we execute the tasks one by one in the best possible priority listing that you can come up with, and let me know the status of each task as we complete it. Thank you. So done that, I'm going to send that through. So you're now just chatting in natural language. You don't have to say create underscore task and all these things. It's just going to pick up through natural language. Okay, sweet. I'm going to connect to the MCP server. I'm going to see which tasks are the most important or the priority ones, create a nice list, and then I'm going to execute them. Boom, boom, boom. And as it executes them, it's going to update Dart. So if you've got project management happening on Dart and you've got your no code builder with Cursor, from a holistic perspective, that's the best way to manage a project, right? If you're doing like a weekend little build, that's fine. You can use Cursor, you can build something, but in order to track it and something that you can literally go back and look and say, okay, what subtasks were created, what tasks were executed, how far are we along with the project? And it's a full project management. It's like Azure DevOps. That's what Dart is, but it's connected in through its own MCP server to these no-code builders. So you can literally execute and track all your tasks as you go about it. So you can see here it's saying, let me update the first task status to doing. So I'm going to say, cool, you can run that. Boom. So it's changed the status to doing for the first tasks. And now I can help you set up server infrastructure, implement the necessary endpoints, handle image processing requirements. Let me know how you'd like to proceed. And I'm just going to say, happy for you to proceed with the first task. Let's go. So here it says, I can see we're starting with a clean workspace. Let's create a new server in node.js with Express. And then it's obviously going to ask us to execute these commands. Cursor does have a YOLO mode. So you can literally put it on YOLO and it will literally just approve everything it asks you for. If that's what you want to do. Or you can sit there and you can go through it step by step and say, cool, I understand that. Approve, approve, approve. And that's how you truly use AI in order to build out your code. So I'm going to let this run as part of our first step. And obviously it's building out our code here. And then we can basically look at what was the task, did it accomplish it, what's the output, and you can see how the project management from a Dart perspective can connect with Cursor using MCP, which is so easy and quite mind-boggling, to be honest. Okay, so you can see task number 1 is complete. We've actually asked it to change the status to done, and then it's asking, can we move on to the next task? So in this case, we're going to say, yep, you can run the tool. And it's going to run and start executing our next step, which is implement image upload functionality file validation. That being said, if we come through to Dart, we go to tasks, and we close that, you can see this is updating automatically. So it's moved the setup of a server to handle image processing and rendering requests as complete. So if we click on that, we can see it's done. It was created by Dart AI, assigned to like us, but obviously we're executing it through that, and it's completed that. What you can then do is in each of these tasks, you can go and create subtasks within Dart, and you can use AI to create those as well. So if we were looking at this from like a product management perspective, and we said, okay, this is a task that could be further broken up into subtasks. And we can do that maybe with one of our up and coming tasks. So for example, write unit tests for key functionalities to ensure stability and reliability. So maybe we want what type of unit tasks do we want to do? So you can go to task AI, and you can then go and say break into subtasks. And if we go hit on that, it's now using AI in an instant to identify all the subtasks that we could create from that main task and create those there. So, and as Cursor gets to that task, we'll say, oh, okay, hold up, there's some subtasks here. Do we want to execute those? So we can say yes, and we can go through and complete those. You can also go in and manually change them and add to them or add additional tasks that you might think of. So you really are using AI to best create the best structure. So this is for like, if you have big projects, that are multi-team projects, they're tasks, projects that are lasting months on end, for example, and you're trying to achieve massive projects or massive goals, massive milestones, using a project management tool like Dart, in addition with its MPC server to Cursor, just takes care of all of that, which is pretty awesome. Okay, cool. So that's done. Moving on to the next task. We're going to just say, yes, please, you can move on to the next task. Cool, done. And it's going to communicate through to looking at our server tasks. Server code, we already have a basic image upload functionality implemented, but we'll enhance it with proper client-side implementation. So it's going to go through all of that. And then, I'm going to work through this until we get to a product that I can show you, and then we can look at the output of our meme generator. Alrighty, so this is our meme generator. What you can do is upload an image. So let's go ahead and choose this one, for example. You can go to the text tab. You can add some text. You can say something like funny octopus. You can increase the font size. You can drag it on screen. You can make it bold. You can go to colors. You can change the text color to white. You can change the background color to whatever color, so say black, and obviously then you can place it on screen and create your meme. Now, obviously, this is a very simple, I wouldn't even call it a tool, just a cool way to show you how we can build something on Cursor, but at the same time, from a project management perspective, Dart, through our MCP server, is tracking everything that we're doing. And while we vibe code, we can actually update Dart as we go and update our tasks or create new tasks. So MCP servers allow us to do that. MCP as a protocol allows us to do that. And Dart, from a project management perspective, allows us to do that. Now I want to focus on some of Dart's components and really highlight Dart and the powerful project management tool that it is. Because we started with the Cursor no-code, low-code application, which you understand because if you're a follower of this channel, you know we've covered this a bunch. Linking that to MCP, which is this new protocol that's really making waves and it's super powerful. Now, being someone that has a lot of clients that I'm busy with and that I'm building software for, vibe coding is one thing. Building out software and using AI in order to build out software in a no-code state in the fastest way possible than we've ever thought of before. That's great. But when you're working with clients, they still want updates. They still want reports. They still want to see a dashboard. They want to see how far you are. They want daily stand-ups. And you still need something to manage your vibe coding. Dart, in my opinion, is that. It uses AI in order to analyze what you need to do. It helps you in terms of building out tasks or brainstorming tasks or subtasks from your project. And then you can also use it from a reporting standpoint. So I want to show you just a couple of the features of Dart. I'm in Dart over here and we've got our tasks and subtasks for our meme generator. But in the home tab, this is your overall landing page, right? When you come to Dart, and you'll be greeted, "Good afternoon, Jagger," and it will show you your current tasks, what's recent, give you if you've got any teammates as part of your organization, they'll be over here, and anything that you've got upcoming in the next week that maybe you have to deliver, right? If you're in a current sprint, which sprint is just a 2-week set of work, over the next 2 weeks, what do you have to execute? And then if we come to my tasks, you can see here, these are the tasks linked to our meme generator and the subtasks. You can see their status of whether they have not been looked at yet, they're in progress, or they have been completed, and you can change those. You can assign them to different people, and you can see the dashboard that they're linked to. The inbox here is any inbox updates that you get from an AI, from any of your teammates, or any updates in general will come through over here. So it's just like an email inbox that you can go through. Now, this is what I want to highlight, and this is really awesome. So in the intelligence component, you have dashboards and you have reports. So if we come to reports and we change the space, remember a space is this siloed out area that you can build your tasks in, and you can build a specific project around. So if you have different boards in like Azure DevOps, this would be very similar in terms of having spaces. So we're going to move the space from general to meme generator, and we don't have any reports. So if the clients come to us and said, "Hey, listen, we want an update on where you're at," we can go to new report. We then can choose one of the types, and we can use AI to generate this report. So we can do a stand-up, which is use AI to get an update about your team's progress. So instead of having to put together a PowerPoint that's going to take me a lot of time and then present that to the client, I can literally say stand-up, yep, let's do it for this week for sure, and generate reports. And then we kick back, and it will do it per member, what's completed, what's in progress, what's to do. And you've got it perfectly over here, and then obviously you can customize it however you want, but we can then show this to the client and go like, okay, sweet, from this date to this date, this team member's done this, so forth, so forth, so forth. And again, we come back to reports. We can go ahead and say, change the space to meme generator. We've got that recent report over there. We can say new changelog report, right? So use a changelog is use AI to summarize what your team has accomplished. Only completed tasks will be summarized. And we say generate report. We can kick back and it will say, this is what we've achieved. These are the key updates. These are the additional changes maybe we changed as we went through it. Maybe there were bugs that came up. All of that will happen in Cursor, in your no-code platform. That all feeds back into Dart as your project management tool. So as you vibe code, it's kind of like you have this executive assistant looking over from a project management point of view, understanding exactly what you're doing in terms of your project. And then on a weekly basis or however often, you can just literally use these intelligence components in order to generate reports, dashboards for your client. Same thing with dashboards is if you come and you create a new dashboard, right? And we call this meme generator. We can then go into a dashboard and we can add in charts. So we add a bar chart. And the bar chart isn't, I need to put in the data. The data's there. So in this case, you can see, like, obviously I'm the only team member. I've got 32 tasks that are assigned to me. So if you had more members, just one little click shows you, okay, these are how the tasks are distributed across the team. So then you can go ahead and say, maybe let's add another chart. Let's go and say, let's add a pie chart. Again, very similar there. Another thing I want to highlight is the different views. So in this case, we've got a list view. We can do a board view, which I like better. It reminds me a lot of like Azure DevOps, where you can just, drag and drop from to do to doing to done. And then what I really, really like here is the last two, which is calendar, right? So if you have dates associated with your tasks, they will show up here. And the other one is roadmap. So if you come to the roadmap board or the roadmap view, you can basically come to Project AI and you can say, plan this project. So I'm going to show you. So basically, you can select, say, from the 1st of April to the 30th of April is when we're doing this project. That's your date range. We want it on all of these orders. And then the assignees, if you have multiple people in your team, you can select them. In this case, only one. And you can then go say, start planning. And we'll start planning the project using AI. And you'll see these dates will start to change. And it will stack all of these tasks based on what the task is. The AI will look at it, understand that task, and then do its best to place those out in the best possible fashion, which you could obviously go in afterwards and say, okay, no, we'll need a little bit more time on this task, or maybe less time on another task. But it gives you a nice roadmap to start to see how could we actually fit all of this in. You can see here it's actually pushed some things into the start of May in terms of how complex some of these components might be. So I thought that was quite a nifty little feature. That's the video, guys. I really hope it was useful. If it was, please do like and subscribe. We're on our way to 6,000 subscribers. Definitely go give Dart a check out. The link is in the description below. I've been using it for all my client interactions so far in terms of generating these dashboards and tracking internal progress for myself and for the people that work underneath me. So other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.